Alright, chuckleheads. The editing is going to be a little lazier in the rest of these episodes because it's my second channel and I don't care about video quality at all. And I'm probably going to be recording all of these lines in one take. But to make up for that, I'm bringing in a special guest to co-host each episode. Say hi, special guest who I definitely haven't kidnapped.
Hi, IRDM. I definitely haven't been kidnapped.
That's so true, Justin. Anyway, I'm sure most of you already know, but in case you didn't, this round's prompt was, "You've been fired. Why?" And the word limit was 20. Out of a whopping 279 contestants, only 6 of those chuds broke the word limit, and only 3 of them didn't do it on purpose. Great job, guys. We also managed to get an astonishing 30.61 VPR, in no small part due to the following 25 amazing super voters. Raining, Lutzboy, Quickster, Word Nerd Bird, Jokingly Evil 56952, Xmorpheus, Thundercube, Keysmash.python.exe, Watermelon King, Raziki, Sapoo, OG Frag, Tensute, Stealthy Septile, The One Woomy, Mazwat, Shimmering Stars, Jimmy E128, J-Dude, PC36 Thorn, Skippery45, A Lot of Ants, Natural Splatnadian Enemy 1234568, Sergeant Cheese, and Siktoabu. So now for the real important question. Who won? When voting started, I realized I'd made an error with the sheet that removed lots of quotation marks from people's responses, so I had to quickly remake the sheet to fix them. And this person is quite lucky that that happened, because their response was one of the ones affected. Without further ado, the response that won the very first round of Squip is, "Lied on his resume," they said. "Can't speak Latin," they said. "They can go lorem ipsum dollar sidum et themselves." Now, this is a very good response, and I'm glad it won because I think it was one of the funnier responses of the round, but unfortunately it was submitted by a rather devious individual. I don't know who you are, but I am eventually going to find the person who made me put Lashana Ball at the top of my round 1 leaderboard. Good job, Lashana Ball. You're one of the 28 people that will receive a double response prize this round. In second place, we have our first Michael, Springy Mint, who said, "I was fired from Pepsi after taking a drug test. Turns out they don't appreciate me testing positive for Coke." Michael is the default profile picture, by the way. There are many of him. And rounding out the podium, we have Mario Fan, who said, "Make-A-Wish mistake. The Pokemon fanboy wanting to catch 'em all didn't mean diseases. Sorry for giving you pneumonia, Timmy." So our podium consists of drugs, employment fraud, and child murder. Awesome job, guys. Now, I'm going to start skipping around a little bit and reading out the ones that I personally find funny. In 5th, Surf said, "All I did was get an angle wrong. Turns out the starting gun at the Olympics should be fired up." Elijah in 9th is beating up his hospital patients. Mazwat in 10th is violently screaming in the workplace. Ameliorator in 14th is teaching torture tactics at the senior center. And Chad in 18th is violently screaming in a different workplace. I also want to highlight our 8th, 11th, and 17th placers for succeeding with very non-traditional syntax. Sorty said, "Employed at the red text factory. Looks inside. Green text." Neo Selkut said, "Department of Defense fired me. The government always said they value education, but when I, a War Thunder player..." and Fordyce said, "My coworker Jane got pregnant. She and other coworkers were excited about the baby kicking her belly, but when I..." Rounding out the prize zone, in 25th, we have Bobby B, who was fired from Haiku Co. "It never went well. Any poem I made had 1 extra syllable." And in 27th, just barely squeaking in, we have Normal Ben. "I struck up too many conversations as a 911 dispatcher. My dad is dying!" "That's neat. Got any plans tonight?" Down here in the regular survival zone, just barely missing out on prizing, we've got Canadian Shark 26, who took his coworkers' pens, paper clips, stapler, mugs, keyboard, photocopier, water cooler, and family, and my magnificent host, Intersecting Planes, who got all his dive instructing students crushed by the unrelenting pressure of the Mariana Trench. By the way, he definitely did not bribe me to get into this position, I swear.
You got the $20 I sent you as a bribe, right?
044R created a film that smashes people's hearts with hammers, and Word Nerd Bird resorted to name-calling. Next, we've got Siri Series, who took one of the example responses and twisted it wonderfully into a hilarious joke about infidelity. H-Cone got fired from a pharmacy for writing freestyle prescriptions, which I think is a candidate for the funniest 2 words of the whole round. Okay, so you know how I said no NSFW responses were allowed? Well, some people didn't listen, and I got way more responses than I was expecting, and didn't read them all before putting them in the voting sheet, so a couple unacceptable responses got through, and Sandstorm survived with one. So, I'm gonna let them off with a warning, but in future rounds I will be reading every response as they come in, and if you submit something unacceptable, I'll be emailing you as soon as I can to inform you that it's been rejected and you need to submit something else. It would be unfair to DNP Sandstorm in this round when they might not have even known that what they were submitting counted as NSFW, so I'm going to let them survive, but please be more thoughtful in the future. Anyway, Ribosphere had a gas leak and got brain damage. SMH ate a cremated corpse? Toad's response is going on the next K-Dot single. Insufferable communication, to quote my note of termination. Speaking in rhyme on company time, nope, find a new occupation. Also, somehow an Among Us response survived. Oh, and another song response. Worked at a nuclear plant, don't eat that they say. When it comes to self-control, I can't eat it anyway. The Incident ended a Teams meeting with the Tropical Cyclone Maneuver. AA Clock choked his boss to death with Legos. Cat survives by replacing a problem with an even worse problem. Margaret 93 survives at all. And Stren is the only person to survive with a clay joke. Wasato eats nuclear fuel. Chickenly makes animals fight to the death. The Decent freaking obliterates a bar. Average User also eats nuclear fuel, and Raziki is fat. And finally, we're here at the last survival screen. Wow, there are a lot of contestants. Anyway, I'm not going to read any of these except for slavery was abolished in 1865, so cue the dramatic reveal music. The last person safe this round is... Savage! Sadly, TB.Wav comes 1 spot short. The Potato Lord also dies, despite making the exact same joke as Quartz Vortex in 70th. Phrasing saves lives, kids. If you haven't been named yet, you have sadly lost a life. As consolation, Intersecting Planes will read some of the zestiest dying responses while we scroll through them all. Keep in mind that if you're in this region, you're not eliminated, you're just losing a life. You need to lose all 3 lives to die.
In 143rd is Fickle Dickle Doo, who said, I ate my boss. In my defense officer, his spinach artichoke tip was positively revolting. Calcfetch in 161st said, was in Mr. Beast's film crew and refused to use lethal force against Carl Jacobs. I can still hear his pleading voice. I don't know bro in 167 said, I apparently have Alzheimer's and so I can't teach you apparently have Alzheimer's and so I can't teach you apparently have Alzheimer's. At 170th we have Greg, which of course is the green rat from Redatoin, who said, I was too gregarious. My boss is Gregis, which of course is racist but towards Gregs. Darrell De Palma at 175th says, intimidated by my imposing masculine odor. Luke Gibbons at 177 said, Rat-a-tat-tat pulled the grenade, take this you old hag, threat neutralized sergeant. I work at a pharmacy. Castercore 199 said, I got too silly, I got too silly, I got too silly, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm... So Eglet at 204 said drugs. Luigi from Mario Real at 217 said the rebellion. So Equoqua at 253rd said Fred. John Bible at 261st said John Bible. Bullet 273rd. Well, that's just how it is for us.
Alright, now that we've gotten the sad deaths out of the way, we're going to get into some delicious statistics. First, something I was curious about this round was how word count would affect your performance. I specifically didn't include a word counter because I was hoping that people would only downvote you if you were above the limit, not below. Let's see if that held true. And it looks like it did, to some extent at least. The highest scoring word count was actually 19, not 20, so that's a huge win for the free word count truthers. Ignoring the fact that 20-worders were by far the most common type of response, it looks like if you're careful with your words and don't needlessly bloviate to extend the word count from 19 to 20, you can profit. We also saw a strange pattern where score consistently went down with every word below 19, then mysteriously jumped back up for 13 and 14. How odd! The lowest scoring word count was 3, which only had one contestant. A few rapid-fire statistics for you. The contestant with the most votes was Shanty of Storms with 36, and the one with the fewest was Sinblitz with 25, who was amusingly the only person to get voted on exclusively by the super voters. He didn't even vote on himself. The longest response was Player 1's alliterative monstrosity, clocking in at 199 characters, and the shortest was Really Gay Loser Not Named James with Egg, who amusingly has one of the longest names. While we're here, I want to share the fun detail that the first time I checked the votes, drugs was in first place, and I was really worried I was going to have to cancel the competition. Thankfully, that did not happen, but among the one-word responses, Eaglet did stay in the survival region for the longest. Godspeed. Another special statistics category I'm going to include is the IRDM's Parents category. To boost the contestant count a little, I asked both of my parents to submit responses to the contest, and they both did so. Let's look at where they placed. Wow, they both survived, and my dad survived by only one spot. Isn't that awesome? If you placed in the death region this round, you lost to both of my parents. How does that feel? Anyway, one last statistic I wanted to cover was the alternate interpretation jokes people made. There were a few funny chucksters who thought it would be a great idea to intentionally misinterpret the prompt, despite my example responses clearly indicating that fired meant fired from your job. We had 10 different people submit responses about getting fired from a cannon, only 2 of whom survived, and people who submitted responses about clay being fired in a kiln fared about the same, with 1 of 5 surviving. Congratulations to Stren, Lucky, and Sebastian Foxington for this great feat. Alright, that's all the statistics for now. I'm sure you're ready for the next prompt. So here it is. Create a terrible advertisement for a product or service. This could be a slogan, a commercial, a billboard, even a public marketing stunt, whatever you think would be funniest. Your responses are due Saturday, April 11th at 8:54 p.m. EDT, and the word limit is 17. I just remembered that I'm the host and I can make the numbers weird if I want. Here are your example responses. Read them and weep. Okay, bye.